Hi, my name's Matt Widgery from mattwidgery.com. In today's episode, I want to go through some of the gear that I took to my very first wedding that I shot on New Year's Eve. So I've got 3 bags, and I just wanted to run through some of the stuff that's in there, because some of it is definitely stuff that I would take again, and some of it is just stuff that never came out of the bag. So I wanted to kind of have my insights into that, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are looking to get into weddings for the first time. It was a branch of photography that I wanted to get into as a professional. I've got another one booked for later on in the spring, and I hope that goes as well as this one did, because it was great fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it. But the amount of gear is greatly different to most of the stuff that I do, where I'm carrying a speed light or two, and I'm doing sort of on location kind of run and gun portraiture. This was a lot more involved, and so let's get cracking and see what I had. So in this bag here, this was light stands and tripods and things like that. So what I had, actually, there were 2 locations that I had to shoot. There was the place where the ceremony was, which was in one church, and that's where the formal portraits were. And then there was another venue over where the reception was, which was another church, and it was about a 15-minute walk away. So I used this, which has got wheels on it, and then I strapped that one to the top of that, and then this is my shoulder bag, which went over the top of that. So in the first location, I needed to do 3 portraits. It's fairly modest what they wanted in terms of the final, the formal portraits. There was one of the couple. There was an immediate family portrait, which was a group of about 14 people. They were fairly straightforward, and just a speed light on an umbrella. I was good to go with those ones, and then another speed light facing back at them just to do some rim lights. And then for the main group shot they wanted in that venue as well, they wanted everybody in the church, and there were 130 guests, and it was in a very sort of dark chapel, so it was kind of indoors, really big group. So the key thing was trying to get them all evenly lit, all in the picture, obviously, in the first place. And so for those, I actually decided to take some studio heads as opposed to just the small flashes, just because I thought, A, recycle time, and B, just output power as well is going to be much bigger if you've got the bigger strobes, rather than having to rely on little speed lights. So I had a total of 4 light stands with me. So I had 2 for the strobes and 2 for the speed lights as well. So so that's what I had with me. So there's a set of those. One, and there's another one. They're all the same, they're a different colour. Actually, these ones, these 2 here, the 3 in fact, the 3 black ones extend up to about 2 meters, but the silver one there actually extends up to 3 meters. So that's really cool for doing the big group shots. You can actually get kind of further above them and get the light further away. Inverse square law suggests that the further away the light source is from the subject, then the softer the fall off, and the more people you'll get in the shot within that kind of range of sort of stop or so of the same kind of light that's hitting them from that flash. So that was really important, to get the lights as far away from them as possible. Again, why I needed them so powerful. So that's that one, and then another one there. Also used a collection of sort of odds and ends, really, to clamp various speed lights and things like that onto the light stands. These are very good. These actually have a little shoe that the hot shoe slides into there and tightens up, and then that slides onto the top of the light stand, and you've got a space for an umbrella on there as well. So they're really cool. The other things I used were the little kind of like footplate things that actually come with the tripods as well. So those actually have got a thread on the bottom which will screw onto a light stand. So they're pretty useful as well. So a rum assortment, but useful ones of those. And then the tripod. So I really wanted to take a tripod with me because I didn't want to be caught without one. I didn't actually use it. But the tripod that I elected to take was this one here. This is a Giottos tripod, and it's carbon fiber, so it's quite lightweight, and folds down really nicely and small. It actually kind of these legs kind of fold round on themselves like that, which is kind of nice. And then they kind of come apart like that. Now this is here we go. So this is the one leg that actually does something really cool. What happens is on this leg here, this actually unscrews from here and actually becomes a monopod. So what you've got, this is one of the, you know, all the legs obviously extend in the same way like that, and it's really lightweight, of course, all being carbon. But then on the top bit there, you see you've got like a thread. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but there's a thread just there. And this middle part of the tripod, chuck that in there for a minute. This is cool. On the bottom, this is a little hook thing, so that actually pulls out, and when the tripod's like that, you can actually add some weight to it by hooking your camera bag on there, and that just makes everything nice and stable. But if you unscrew that, it's a bit James Bond, so that comes out of the bottom like that. Pop that down there, and then this bit comes out of the top like that, and then you keep your other legs somewhere in your bag. This then has got the corresponding thread that goes onto there like that. And then you've got a really nice tripod, monopod as well. So that's the reason I took that. It's lightweight, and you know, that option as well, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to grab video clips and things like that. I didn't in the end, and it just kind of, you know, what I hadn't really kind of, yeah, I knew it was going to be kind of pretty hectic, but I figured I'd have time to sort of play around and do little video things. You really don't. You're kind of looking all the time for little moments that are happening, and you know, you're kind of just so focused on that you know, I didn't have an assistant or a second tutor or anything like that, so you really kind of switched on all the time to just sort of taking stills. And I didn't use a tripod because people were moving about, so even if the, you know, the sort of, you know, architecture was nicely in focus with a low shutter speed, then I would have still had motion blur from the people. And so what I had instead was a couple of big, again, studio strobes, bouncing lots of light into the dance floor and lighting things up. And I had them at kind of opposite ends of the room, so I had a rim light from one and then, you know, sort of main light from the other, and would just move around, getting different effects of people as I went around the room. So that's what I did with that. Would I take this again? Yes, I probably would, because you never know if you're going to need it. You know, it may be, for example, that, you know, if you've got a lot of different posed shots to do, you can actually get your composition exactly where you want it, put the thing up on a tripod, and then if you need to kind of go in and, you know, fix the, you know, the bridal, you know, whatever it is, gown and veil and all that kind of stuff, put the pattern flowers in a different position, adjust the groom, you can then come back and you don't have to recompose. It's just kind of all set up there. That's really nice. And the other thing is that you can use like remote shutters and things like that, so rather than being hidden behind the camera while you're posing people, you can actually just be clicking away to the side and remain having eye contact with people as well. So that's that. So that's bag one. Put all those bits in there. Bag two, this is where the kind of this is where the bulk of everything went, really. So in this top section here, I've got a selection of sort of odds and sods that may come in handy during the day. Again, you know, it's a lot of stuff that I took and I didn't actually use, but I was glad I took it because you know, it doesn't take up very much space, and it's the kind of thing that may be useful in the future. So this little thing, this is like a mini softbox, and it actually straps around the top of a speed light. So that's really nice. So I find where the speed lights are. They were in here. Buried under there somewhere. Yeah, I had to kind of like, I unpacked all this because this was a few days ago, this wedding, and then I thought I'd better throw it all back together again for the purposes of the video. So yeah, I might not have put the speed lights in there. We'll come to that in a sec. But anyway, you can imagine that. It sits on the end of the speed light. It's a mini softbox. On itself, it's not particularly, it doesn't do a lot, frankly, because it's still a very small light source, but it does soften things up a bit. And what you can actually do is put it inside another diffuser. So you can actually put it inside a softbox or bounce that into a like a shoot-through umbrella, and it gives a double layer of diffusion, which is quite nice. So that's just a nice way of softening light. It's also brilliant for doing more close-up type shots as well. So if you've got detailing like rings and things like that, that's perfect, because compared to a ring, that's massive. So you've got a very nice soft light from that. So that's that one. And it's got a little pouch that goes in like that. This is a Rogue flash bender, similar sort of idea really. It's just trying to get that very small flash head from a speed light and trying to make that sort of light source bigger really. So it's slightly bigger than the mini softbox. not a lot, but you know, you can kind of bounce that and then it bounces out. You know, again, sort of by itself, it's not great, but you can use it in conjunction with other things, and it does actually help you out quite a bit. The other thing which is really nice with this is you can actually, it's got Velcro on it, so you can wrap it round in a sort of snoot like that, and what that does is it kind of literally pushes the light sort of through a circular tunnel, and then it concentrates it in a smaller area than the sort of maximum zoom you'd otherwise get with that. So that's a really nice way of just modifying light, creating little spots of light and things like that. So that's that. What else have we got in here? This is a set of coloured filters. These are also done by Rogue. Lots of other people do them as well. There's a mixture in here of your more kind of artistic things, if you want to have, you know, things like a green, but then there are the blues and the oranges, so you can actually do like a full sort of cut of CTO, which is colour temperature orange, or CTB, which is colour temperature blue. And what that means is that you can balance the light that comes off your flash with the ambient light. So for example, at that reception, everything was with fairly dim tungsten and also candle, so everything was quite an orange sort of hue to it. The flash is balanced with daylight, so it's a lot more blue. It's kind of white. It's like a white basically. So you can actually throw some orange gels on there, and then that kind of it puts everything into the same temperature. So you can either mimic the look of the candles with a speed light and just increase the power to light up somebody's face, but make it look like it's come from the room. Or if you want to do like an overall sort of ambient white balance, you can actually get everything to look the same afterwards. Or you can you know, play around with it and you know, sort of put like a blue sort of gel on things, and you know, sort of bring everything, you know, really right down and make it really moody. So that's a set of those. These are really useful. Rolls of electrical tape. I use these for lots of things really. You know, kind of just sticking stuff to other stuff is good because it doesn't leave a residue and it's easy to get off afterwards. So the black stuff's quite good for that and just sort of quick repairs. I had a lens hood break on me and I was able to just kind of wrap it up with the electrical tape, and if you bind it up, it's pretty strong. So that's really cool. And the blue stuff I actually use just to mark everything that I've got that's kind of mine. Wasn't so much of an issue today because obviously if you're the only photographer there, then all your gear is yours. If you're working with a second shooter, or you're at like a press conference or something, there's other photographers somewhere, or like shooting music when there's like a pit full of people or with gear. What I do, you can see on the light stands here, like I've just got a little bit of blue tape around the light stands. I kind of put that around everything, and that just means that I know that it's mine. If I'm kind of, you know, grabbing a load of gear, I don't accidentally steal somebody's stuff. And if I see somebody picking something up with blue tape, I can stop it before it goes out the door and have to buy another expensive bit of gear. So they're really, really handy as well. Batteries. You cannot have too many batteries. These are the ones made by Duracell. These seem pretty good to me. They have a relatively good sort of charge rate. I think they're rated at 2,600 milliamp hours. I might be wrong on that. Let's have a look. But the point is they come with a great charger which will actually charge them up to usable condition within 15 minutes, and that's why I really like them. So if you've got a lot of these on speed lights and you're bouncing them around, you can get them to recharge and be handy. 2,400 milliamp hours these are, so you know they're pretty good, and the charger that comes with them is great as well, if a little noisy, but they're a good set. And I have a bag of AA batteries which work for the speed lights, and I have a bag of AAA batteries as well, because they work for the little Yongnuo radio triggers which actually trigger the flashes remotely. So that's those. Said Yongnuo triggers, these are they. So I've got a range of these. You know, you can't really have too many of them. You know, basically they're transceivers, so one side of it can be either transmitting, you can put it on top of the camera, or receiving if you put it on top of the flash, and they'll all do both. So you can actually set as many, you can buy as many of these as you want and just kind of set them to the same channel, and away you go. They, you know, a lot of people sort of say they're not as reliable as things like a Pocket Wizard, and that's probably true. However, I haven't had them go wrong, touch wood, yet. They're relatively cheap to buy, so just kind of buy a load of them. But the thing that I really like over and above the Pocket Wizard system is the fact that they have another hot shoe on top of them. So with the Pocket Wizard, if you put that on top of the camera, then you can't put anything in the hot shoe as well because it's taken up by the Pocket Wizard. Whereas with this will transmit to the off-camera stuff, and you can still have an actual flash unit on the top of there, which is really cool. And that means you can just use that little sort of burst of fill flash if you want to, just from on top of the camera, just for weddings and things like that. It's really useful. The other really nice thing about it is that you can use it as an accessory shoe as well. So if you wanted to put a video light on there, or like a shotgun mic or something like that, if you're running and gunning with video and you're doing stills and video, you can switch between the others, and you don't have to take this off. You can just leave it on there and it'll just go straight through. So so that's really handy. I like those a lot. I've got another set of sort of transceivers and receivers here. Oh, that's a battery. These actually come with the studio strobes. These are not as well made by any stretch of the imagination as the Yongnuo ones. These do feel a little bit plasticky, they feel a little bit cheaper, but you know, they do the job. And you know, if that does go down in any way, this is the part that goes on the camera. There's another bit that goes and plugs into one of the studio lights, and then the rest of the studio lights trigger optically off this one. But if that does go down, then I use the Yongnuos, and if all else fails, I use a good old-fashioned PC sync cord. So one end of that plugs into the camera and one end plugs into one of the lights, and then you're good to go. So if absolutely all of the batteries die, or they all get stamped on, and you know, all of the electrical radio triggers break, and I can't see direct line of sight to use a speed light on the camera to optically trigger them, which is another option, I can rely on a wire, so long as one of the lights is close enough to me that I can plug those in, and I don't mind the risk of somebody tripping over the cable. So that's that. More power cables. These are the power cables for the strobes, so not very exciting. They just go in, plug into there. Not a lot to be said about those. Oh, there's more stuff in the top here. That's a lens hood. That's one of those little feet things that the speed light fits into, so you can actually have the speed light sitting on a shelf or something, and the hot shoe clips into there, or you can screw that onto the top of a light stand. That's the other receiver bit that goes on top of the strobe. Screwdriver. I've actually got several little sort of tools and things. I've got a pen, like Swiss Army pen knife, which is really useful for all kinds of things, but that particular one is really useful for unscrewing the little grub screws that hold on and make good the tripod head on the Giottos and on the Manfrotto that I'm filming this with as well. So it just, because it's slightly longer, it gets in there better. So I carry one of those. That is a lens pen, and that is for dusting off the camera. Really very useful. Got a couple of those kicking around. And then I've got some spare camera batteries as well. So that is one for the D300, and that's one for the D50-100. So again, you know, you can't have too many batteries. Right, so in here, if you want to get creative and artistic, it's nice to just have the option. And again, I didn't actually use these, but I think I probably would if I was doing more, you know, sort of more. I didn't have really any time. They only wanted to have 3 formal shots, and they wanted all 3 of them done in like 15 minutes. It was just kind of crazy busy schedule to get onto the next thing and the next thing. So I didn't really kind of break any of this stuff out. But that's a honeycomb grid that will do similar to the snooting the Rogue flash bender. It'll actually put things into a more sort of, you know, you can, you know, direct the light a little bit more with that. And then much in the same way that I've got coloured gels for the speed lights. These are kind of bigger versions of those in different colours that you can actually gel over the top of the studio lights, and that's a diffusion panel on top of those as well. So you can play around and get a bit creative if you've got a bit more time than I had on that particular day. Right, so camera-wise, I shot with the Fuji, which is filming this actually now, as it's the X Pro 1 that's sitting up there filming this, and then this is the Nikon D50-100, which I don't think I actually used this during the entire event. Actually, this was kind of like a backup of a backup, really. So I just had that just in case the other 2 cameras did fail. But there it is, and the lens that's on there is the Sigma 17-50, which I've reviewed previously. There's a link to that up on the screen. Brilliant, brilliant lens. So that's that. And then the body that I actually used for most of the indoor stuff was this. It was a combination of this and the X Pro 1. This had by far the better focusing for dealing with people leaping about. There was a Kaylee, it was amazing, people bouncing around all over the place. The 51-point autofocus system on this handled that a lot better than the Fuji did. But for the portraits and for the kind of candid shots around the tables and sort of, you know, shots of the bride and groom and the kids blowing balloons and things like that and blowing bubbles and playing Lego, there was like a kids area which is great, and just those little candid moments, the X Pro 1 was the better camera for that. So I was glad I bought both. So that's that. Lighting modifiers. More of those. I actually bought a couple of different types of umbrella. This is a shoot-through umbrella, and that's actually the one I used for the main kind of bridal portraits and things, just because I like the way the light kind of bounces through this, but kind of it comes out of the back and scatters around a little bit, so it actually creates quite a soft sort of halo of light around the bit that you've targeted. So because I wanted to get some of the chapel in as well and have that fall into some nice, really beautiful quality soft light, I used that, and it's got a slightly nicer fall off than something like a softbox, which is beautiful on the subject, but it's quite harsh fall off because nothing comes out of the sides of it. It's all directed through because it's obviously you've got the silver inside it and then black at the back, so there's not really any, it's quite a hard edge to the fall off. This is softer, and for that kind of shoot I thought that was better. And then just in case I wanted to use it, although I didn't, I actually bought a reflective as well. This would have had the same kind of issue of it being, I think, just a little bit harder on where the light gradiates away from where it's being directed through, and then there's the sort of quite a hard shadow when it hits the edge, and there's no more light available. So I didn't use that in the end, but I wanted that just because the light that comes out of there is quite specular, so depending on who you're photographing and what type of mood you want from the shot, I thought it'd be nice to have that as an option as well. I took with me this shoulder strap. This is by Optech USA. You can actually clip two different camera bodies to this, which is really nice, and it's got a very padded neoprene shoulder on there, so I was able to sling a couple of cameras around my neck and kind of junk all the bags just off in the corner somewhere out of the way. So these are great. They're much more comfortable than the straps that come with the cameras from new. Just the padding on them and the fact that they hang down over the shoulder like that just really does make a big difference. So that's that one. And then in here we've got the studio strobes. So I've got a couple of heads on here. These are 300 watt seconds. They're not terribly expensive units, these actually. I got 3 in total for 200 and something quid, something like that. You know, the actual light that comes off them is very good. It's a very even sort of colour temperature, it seems to me. You can fire off a load of bursts and it doesn't waver. Some of the cheap ones do waver a little bit in colour temperature. This one seems to be good. It comes with a modelling light built in. The power is infinitely gradable, but only down to an 1/8 power. You can't get lower than an 1/8 power. So if you do want just a kiss of light, then you're much better off using speed lights. But these, because they're mains powered, I didn't have to worry about them crashing on batteries, so I just plugged them in at the reception and kind of left them there. So that was really cool. I've been really impressed with these actually in terms of how they performed, but a cautionary note, I bought these from eBay from a company, and I got them as a set of 3, and when I was testing them here when I first got them before I took them out, one of them did actually start smoking and catch fire. I sent it back, and you know, they said that I could either have another light or a refund off that particular light, and given that they were currently out of stock of that light, I said I would go for the refund instead, because I couldn't wait for the wedding to get the 3rd one, because, you know, it was happening over Christmas and they weren't going to be able to get the new lights in before then. So obviously, you know, that's the risk that you get with buying cheaper stuff, but, you know, at this point I don't have the budget to spend on, you know, big pro photos or you know, broncolors or anything like that. So that's what you get. You pay your money, you take your choice. But they do seem really well built units actually. All the switches actually seem very robust, and so long as no more of them burst into flames, I'll actually be quite pleased with those, because the light that they give out is very good. So what else have we got in here? More batteries and things. That's a Fuji battery. Here's some speed lights. So that's a Yongnuo one in there. There is an SB900 in there as well, which I also took. Both of which actually are very well built lenses, very well built flashes. You'll see lots about those online. So I won't go into too many of the details about there. But suffice it to say that these are a lot easier to carry around because they're battery powered, and they allow you to be a lot more flexible and move around a lot more because they're not plugged into the wall. So there's lots of benefits to them, but you do need to buy a cake ton of batteries if you're going to be firing them off all night long. And what you don't want as a wedding photographer is to have the flash you know, kind of sitting on the top of the camera and just bouncing into people's faces. You will want to bounce it into walls or off ceilings to make the light look softer and nicer, and that means because it's having to travel much further, you will be putting these on full power, so the recycle time is likely to be 4, 5, 6 seconds or more. They're not going to get that many flashes out of the battery. These take 4 batteries, which I think they cost me 15 quid a set. I've got, I don't know, 20 batteries for these, so like 4 sets of batteries so between the 2 lights. So, you know, obviously, you know, all of that starts getting dear, and it does, you know, soon become quite a nice option to have at least some of the workload being shared by the studio strobes. So that's that. Kind of some padding stuff. Any interesting thing there? There's some more, you know, cabling and what have you. Here's a barn door. Again, I didn't use this, but I bought it just in case. But again, this is just another light modifier. So the light that spreads out of the top of those studio lights, obviously as light does, it fans out. As soon as it leaves the head, it will kind of splay out, and you mount one of these to the top of it, and it's just a question of being able to flag the light off. And you know, if it's bouncing onto things that you don't want it to, you can actually control it a little bit more. But as I say, I was not really using it for that on this occasion. I took it and didn't use it. So that's that. Right, final bag, and to be honest, I'll blaze through this fairly quickly because this is something that you have seen before. The only thing that's different is the bag itself. I did a what's in my bag recently. The link is on the screen, and the only thing, the contents are pretty much the same, but I've changed. This is now it's a bag built by a company called Paradise, and they're based in Lancashire, and they've been making bags, hand making them using all products from the United Kingdom since about 1920. Everything is handmade on here. It's extremely durable and will last a lifetime. And what's really nice is in the back of the bag on here, this says this item was handmade in Nelson, England by Debbie, this particular one, and so they all sign their names on them, the ones that they've made. So I just think that's really nice. The other really nice thing, I'm a big cyclist, as some of you know, and this bag has actually got the sort of bit on the back of there, and that takes the frame that goes onto a Brompton folding bike. I can actually clip my camera bag onto the top of there and go out riding. So that's it. Very quickly, I mean, all that's really in there, you know, is some lenses and things. So the lenses I took, that's a 55mm 1.8, which gives you roughly an 82mm 1.8 in old money, sort of 35mm terms. So that's a really great little portrait lens. This is a 135mm, that's a Takumar lens for the Pentax system. This is a Takumar 135mm 3.5. And I used that. I was quite far away at the church, so I was able to get the first kiss and things like that with that one. The lens that is on the X-Pro one, I'm filming this at the moment, is the 18mm f2, and that's the 35mm 1.4. So that's that, and beyond that, click on the other video to see all the stuff that's in there. It's basically the same as that. And so that's it. That was all the gear that I took. I will be putting another video up soon, which is going to be going through some of the pictures and some of my experiences in more depth about what I was taking on that day, and any advice that I might have for you. If you're just about to embark on your first wedding, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.